Welcome back to another Experience Widener powered by Modern Campus Involve tutorial video. In this video, we're going to talk about how to build a form. As always, to get started, please visit widener.presence.io, log in using your Widener credentials, and click into your admin dashboard. Once you're here, you're going to head on over to the navigation area, and you can either click into Forms or click on this Create button and click Create Form. Once you're here, there are a couple of really important pieces to note about forms. The first is going to be under Settings. Before I do anything else, the first thing I want to do is go to Access. When you are the creator of a form, you are the sole owner of the form, and you are the only person who can access this. This means that when you graduate or when you leave the university, no one else will ever have access to the form itself or to the data that comes along with the form. So the first thing you always want to do is click into Access and give someone else the ability to utilize this. So you're going to click on this Who area, and you're going to give role of Organization Administrator of your organization. In this case, I'm going to use Commuter Student Association, and you're going to click Can, Edit and Share, and click Add Right. What's going to happen is once you save your form, anyone from here on out who is ever an administrator of the CSA portal is going to have immediate edit and share access to this form. So it doesn't matter how long ago it was that you created this, it will still live on your portal. Once you're done with that, you're going to go into details, and the first thing you're going to do is change the name of your form. So let's say this is a CSA interest form. You're then going to give it a description. I recommend 2 to 3 sentences at a maximum, just to be able to let students know what your form is about. So this form is an opportunity for you to get involved with CSA. Please fill this out and we will be in touch. So something super simple. Next is responses. So if you would like to have a specific success message, this is where you're going to do that. So you can say, thank you so much for your interest. We will be in touch soon. Something like that, right? Something that's going to let them know that you've received that form. Next is visibility. So some really cool things in here. So let's say that we are doing a feedback form and we want to know how something is working. You can require a login, which is going to ensure that everyone who fills out this form is a current active member of campus at any of our 3 campuses. So anyone who might have graduated and is no longer a student won't be able to fill this out. This will truly be just for your current active members. But you also want it to be anonymous. You can do both. So that's a really, really cool and exciting piece of this. For the purposes of this, I won't make this anonymous, but I will require a login. Next, you're going to give it a location. So 90% of the time you are going to attach it to your organization. And what that's going to do is on that organization portal, you'll then have a forms tab so that students can find your form directly from your portal. Then you're going to go into availability, and this is where you can choose if you want to limit responses. Maybe you're doing a giveaway and you only want 3 people to be able to, it's the first 3 people who fill it out, right? You can say per form you only want 3 people, or maybe you just want everyone to be able to fill it out once. As long as you have user login enabled or require login, you will be able to do 1 per user. You can also choose the date and time that it is starting and available until through this area. And if you ever need to set up approvals, you can do so just by clicking Add Stage. And then you can kind of play around in here to see what that looks like. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to say that I am going to be the approver. So I'm going to say user. Mine takes a little bit longer to load sometimes. And then I'm going to search last name, comma, first name. So Victoria, fine. Should approve or be notified. So maybe you just want an email every time a form is submitted. You will just give yourself notify access. You can also build it with logic or give a specific message that comes along with that, saying thank you so much for blah, 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 whatever it is that you want that person to know. So now let's talk about the fields, right? Because your form is completely blank. So you're going to click into this fields area, and everything on here is going to be drag and drop. So if I want to start with text, I'm going to click it, drag it over to where I want it. And you're going to see that this field settings comes up. This is where you're going to change the name. So we're just going to do name here. A field description, will put a description underneath. So it will mess with your spacing if not everything has a field description. So just keep that in mind. Next is field size. So right now you can see that this stretches across the entire page. I'm going to click on this pencil to go back into edit. That was large. A medium and an extra small can fit next to each other. 2 smalls can fit next to each other, and 3 extra smalls can fit. I highly recommend making your forms as short as possible because the submit button is always going to be in this top right hand corner. So if folks have to scroll too much, they may or may not want to fill out your form. So I'm going to do extra small, and then I'm going to require it so that everyone has to fill out name and they can't skip it. Then we're going to go into text settings. Every field that you are utilizing will have a specific setting. For this, we have single line, we have paragraph, and you can see that it just kind of juts down a little bit extra. And then we have that rich text HTML box. So maybe you're asking for an open-ended, maybe it's, how did you feel this event went? And you want them to be able to write anything that they want. You really want to use that rich text so that they know that there is no limitation there. Within the rich text, you can also hide the text bar or the toolbar if you would like to. That is an option. For this, I'm just going to use single line. Next, maybe the next thing we want to collect is email. You're going to do the same thing that you just did for text. So when this pops up, you're going to type in Widener email because 99% of the time we're looking for Widener email addresses. We're going to require that. And then this is where it gets really cool. One big thing is that people will sometimes have this autofill with their Gmails, right? So if you're looking for a Widener email address, you might not get it. Or maybe there's a typo in it. There are a couple of ways in which you can avoid that. The first is limit to domain, and you can click add and add in at widener.edu. But again, it's going to mess with your spacing because it will create a line of text down here. So that's not my favorite. You can also confirm email address, but autofill will still accept Gmails this way. So remember when we selected require login? That's where this check if valid person is going to come in. So if you do check if valid person, it is going to confirm that the person who is filling this out is currently a valid member of campus, meaning that they are active on all campuses. So if I try to type in anything other than my current email address, for those of you who don't know, my name previously was Victoria Dean, and I had VN Dean on campus prior to getting married. Even though this was a very real email address, you can see that it says this person does not exist. So if I then change it to Victoria Fine, immediately it accepts it. So a really cool, easy, and quick way to make sure you're not getting any typos and you're only getting Widener email addresses. So now let's say I want to do choice and I want to know what class year everyone is. We're going to go ahead and type in class year. We're going to require it and make it extra small so I can show you all how to adjust the areas that you're looking at. Then we're going to go into our choice settings, and first we're going to add our options. So this is class of 2024, 2025, 2026, and 2027. And now right off the bat, you see that we have a drop down. You can click to allow multiple choices if you need to for anything. We also have the checkbox option, which you can see that's also going to impact your spacing a little bit. So my favorite option is this list options. And the list option just gives everyone an opportunity to be able to see all of the options right then and there and not have to think about it. So now let's start moving things around. So let's say I want class year to be next. I'm going to click on that little arrow field and I'm just going to move it to where I want it. And now you can see we have everything in one solid line. But now let's say you only want to collect Widener email addresses if they are not a graduating student. So that means that they're not graduating in class of 2024, so they're either 25, 26, or 27. We have the ability to do conditional logic. And so with conditional logic, you have the opportunity to play around with it and make it what you want it to be. I will do a separate training video on conditional logic to ensure that it doesn't get too confusing for anyone who just wants a basic form. There are still other things that you can do in this fields area, so let's talk about them. The first thing is the file upload. So maybe you really want to collect something, or you are looking for a PDF or something like that from folks. You'll put the name of whatever it is here, and then under file uploads, you can actually limit type of file. So that's where you can come in and you can say that you only want PDFs, or maybe you only want images in PDFs. You have the ability to play around with that. If you decide you don't need that anymore, you just come over here and click on the X and it will delete. Another really great thing is this content area. So I'm actually going to put that above everything else. And this is your opportunity to have a little text editor right here. So let's say, welcome to our form. You can play around with things a little bit. You can center it so that it looks nice. You can give it all these different headings. You can even add images in. The biggest thing to know about adding an image is that it does need to be published on the web somewhere before you're able to insert it into your form. What I encourage you all to do is really come into here and play around with the forms area. Unless you click save, it's not going to save. So if you want to learn more, come click in, play around with it, and see what you can create for yourself. Another really big thing is that I won't ever have access to your form unless you give it to me. So if you would like me to have access so I can assist you, just make sure that you're giving user access to me so that I can help you through everything. And again, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to stop by the Office of Student Engagement for more information. We are located on the lower level of the University Center across from the Esports Lounge. We are always more than happy to assist. But that's a quick forms training, and I hope to see some really great forms coming from you all soon.